I'll ask you two questions in quick succession. The anti-life equation asks, does Dutch think making active and relatively inexperienced wrestlers EVPs, executive vice presidents, was a mistake? So we're talking about the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega.
Yep.
And Juno Knoblock, does Dutch have any other examples of active wrestlers being in positions of power like Kenny and the Young Bucks, and has it ever gone well?
Okay, let's just take the term executive vice president. I don't even know what that means. It's a term.
Well, they're not bookers. They can suggest stuff to Tony, as anyone can, but they're not bookers. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if people defer to them like agents, but they've got agents, so I don't know.
So, well, now we're talking blind. I've never heard of an executive vice president in the wrestling business. Never even heard of it. I think that when Tony started his company, he got surrounded by Cody and the Bucks and Omega because he was a big fan of Japanese wrestling, correct?
Yeah, I can buy that.
And I think he wanted them to help him start this company. So I think he gave him executive vice president with a title because he could pay them this certain wage that title suggested he pay them. But I don't know what they do. I really don't, other than put out that little YouTube 5-minute video every week or two. Do you ever watch that?
No, I've got far better things to do with my time.
No kidding. I've tried to watch it, but it doesn't make a damn bit of sense. It's like two 16-year-old kids trying to do a video of, they're not even good comedians. I mean, a lot of people aren't, but the show, it never interested me. So they do have a young fan base, so they were aiming it in the right direction, but I don't know what an executive vice president does. Is it a good idea to have these guys? Only in the business sense. So when Punk was doing his press conference and he was talking about executive vice presidents, if I don't know and you don't know, I don't know who would know. And I bet you if you even ask them, they don't even know what their jobs are. So, and what was the rest of that question?
Has it ever gone well where active wrestlers are in the main event and they've got a say in booking direction?
Oh yeah, it's went well a lot of times, but that's just when people respected the chain of command. Dusty Rhodes in Florida, nothing but money, because Dusty was in the main event and he was the booker, and said, "Hey, everybody." But Dusty is a different animal. You know, every Tuesday night in Tampa, they'd all go out drinking to a local bar, and the heels stayed over here, and babyfaces stayed over there, and the fans that went, they respected that because that was and it was easy to explain to a fan, why do you guys come to the same bar? And it's easy to explain. So now the guy's a big wrestling fan and we get our drinks, half price, and this, and they just stay. And he says, and if you just wanted to cover it, you could say, well, the guy said, if we ever get in a fight in here, we're done. Mm-hmm. So we're not going, that covers it. And you're okay. Let's take another thing of a guy booking the territory and it doing well. Lawler did the same thing. Nothing but money. He'd work his stuff. And I do like the way Lawler did his booking. He'd do it in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. He just figured out, we'll do this. And guess what he figured out for the finish sometimes? He'd do it on the spot. Because I've been in Memphis with Lawler, and I'd go to Lawler up. Show started at 8:30. Jerry, what am I doing tonight? I'll get with you in just a minute. Hang on. Okay. 8 o'clock. Jerry, what am I doing? Wait a minute. I'll be right with you. That's 8 o'clock. 8:15. Jerry, what's the finish, man? And he was doing something. He said, I'll just be paid. I'll get with you. You know how many times I got to finish going through the door to the floor? Oh, a lot of times, 10 times sometimes. We'd be walking toward the door from the dressing room to the door, and he'd be giving it to me and tell me to give it to my opponent in the ring. Because it wouldn't be a real long, drawn out deal. So I'm thinking, why couldn't you give me that like an hour ago? Instead of me having to come and ask and ask. Yeah, and there have been situations where the booker booking a territory was a top guy. Oh, he was an executive vice president, and things went well. But not with these guys, because I think these guys have set a bad example now, not only to the wrestling fans that follow AEW, but to their own people, to their own dressing room. They look like a bunch of just high school kids playing around. And once you lose that respect, and this is what I think Tony may have done, I think he's lost really the respect of the dressing room. I hope he hasn't. And he may have a way to bring it back. I hope he does. But I think if he can bring a dressing room back, he can bring this one back. But I don't think he's going to bring it back without threatening something. And by him just suspending guys, that's not enough. He's got to fire a few for the message to get through.